Sure. Thank you so much. So once again, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our panel session. And before we get started, if you have any Q&A, feel free to type in all the questions inside. Because why? I only have 3 questions planned for the panel. The rest all will come from you guys. So get all your keyboards ready and type in the questions, all right? So I'm going to start off by calling upon our first panelist for today. We have Lim Ben-Jie, Head of E-commerce from AirAsia Super App. So Ben-Jie was appointed head of e-commerce for AirAsia Super App effective 1st March 2021. So he transitioned into this newly created role where he oversees the lines of businesses under the e-commerce category, which are AirAsia Food, AirAsia Fresh, and AirAsia Beauty. Now, Ben-Jie is one real busy guy. So Ben-Jie also currently acts as the interim head for both AirAsia Food and AirAsia Fresh. So previously, he's the AirAsia Group Chief of Staff, reporting directly to Tony Fernandez, the CEO of AirAsia since 2016. So in his previous role, Ben-Jie oversees internal business initiatives from development right through to successful execution and acts as a bridge between the CEO and the rest of the management across numerous business pillars, including the airline division, AirAsia Digital, and Tune Group of companies, i.e. Tune Talk and Tune Protect. So Ben-Jie also represents the CEO in key meetings and company boards and external events. Ben-Jie, welcome to the panel.
Thank you very much, Kelvin.
Okay, next we have our second panel, Tang Siew, country head for Malaysia from Carousell. So Siew has more than 20 years of combined experience and accomplishments in the ICT and e-commerce industry. He is currently the country head of Malaysia at Carousell, one of the world's largest and fastest growing classifieds marketplace. Prior to joining Carousell, Siew was the regional marketing director at Huawei, overseeing 7 countries in the South Pacific region for the telecommunications company. Subsequently, he joined luxury e-commerce platform Reborns, where he was a country head for Malaysia and Middle East markets. Siew also go on to launch his own startup, Moderator, a social e-commerce platform that connects brand with influencers before starting the local office for Carousell in Malaysia. So bringing a wealth of experience to the table, Siew spearheads Carousell business growth and development in Malaysia with a focus on building strategic partnerships, driving revenue, and developing meaningful communities of buyers and sellers. Since taking the helm, he has increased Carousell's app download to more than 7 million, with over 40 million user listings in Malaysia market, putting it at the top 10 for both Apple App Store and Google Play. Welcome, Siew.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and finally, we have Vivienne Kwan, Head SME Business Development and Marketing from SME Banking CIMB. Vivienne has over 12 years of working experience in various backgrounds such as insurance, marketing, digital partnership, sales, and product development. Having served close to 5 years with CIMB Bank, the working career covers the entire process of SME banking's business development and marketing initiatives, which entails deposits campaign, process improvement, coupled with marketing campaigns for brand awareness to the market. Prior to this role, she started off a career as a part-time insurance agent while studying, and move on into a product marketing role, and has now been as the head of SME business development and marketing at CIMB. She previously graduated from University of South Australia, majoring in applied finance, and currently in the midst of a master in business administration with University of Sutherland. Welcome, Vivienne.
Hi, morning. Thanks for having me as well.
All right, so let's get the show started, shall we? So, like I say, only 3 so-called planned questions. The rest will come from the audience. Okay, so first question. I think I'm going to ask the first one to Ben-Jie. So I think as the world adopts to a new normal, some countries are definitely noticing a change in online shopping habits of the population. Now in Malaysia, for example, I think we continue to see growth in the first few months of 2020 with over 149% surge in online sales. So in your opinion, Ben-Jie, how do you see the shift of online shopping behavior influences the e-commerce industry?
All right, thanks, Kelvin, and good to see all the fellow panelists today. I think that's a really good question to kick off this really interesting session. I would say that, e-commerce is the enabler today, right? All of us are hoping for a miracle from e-commerce, especially in this pandemic. Quite a number of us have seen some success in the e-commerce space, right? But I think what will happen now is that e-commerce has always been built as an incremental kind of income or revenue generation for the businesses. But I don't think that's going to be true in future. in future, it will be the main source of revenue for most of the businesses out there, right? Number one. And number two, it will slowly but surely cannibalize brick and mortar stores, right? So I think jumping on a bandwagon of e-commerce is truly crucial, especially now, when the opportunity is present, right? When there are various channels, everyone's talking about omni-channel sales and things like this. The opportunities are here now, and I think everyone should grab it. I think the second part to it is that e-commerce has given people the experience of saving time and money, right? Both of these things are really crucial in building a bigger, larger segment of the consumer market. From the AirAsia's perspective, we kind of reduced fares right in the past, and that generated lots and lots of volume. We made it easy to buy your air tickets in the past, right, through online methods, and that has brought about a change in travel. So I think the same it will be the same for e-commerce in other areas, other categories as well. More and more people are getting used to home deliveries. More and more people are getting used to buying their groceries online, their beauty products online, and getting comfortable and more confident in it. So I think that would shift the pattern, right? I'd like to add on also that payment infrastructure is getting better, right? With more and more people, purchasing online, turning to e-commerce, we have more and more solutions in terms of payment. Previously, it was just limited to credit cards, right? Very limited to credit cards, a bit of PayPal, things like payment mechanisms as such. But now you're getting e-wallets, you're getting buy now, pay later products, installment methods, and all these are opening up more and more ways for people to actually transact online, make it even easier. Top up at 7-Eleven and get that kind of a card that you can spend online. Things like this are making it more and more accessible for everyone else. Lastly, I think the emergence of platform companies. Basically, all your big platform companies. Other than AirAsia, there's also the green one, the orange one, the many multiple color ones, right? All in the market that we all are so familiar with. Those platforms have created accelerated e-commerce adoption among the people. People are able to now purchase from countries abroad, right? Not just Malaysia alone anymore. The world can be accessed through your phone, any products around the world, and that's super powerful. The platform kind of enable the logistics players to also grow sizably. We heard of one that has grown so huge because of e-commerce players, platform players. And the marketing spend is more efficient. And lastly, the targets on consumers are more efficient now. We can identify a consumer who lives in Klang Valley, who lives in Penang, who lives in Johor, and we can target them accordingly, rather than e-commerce as a whole being so general if you're just a web store or just an independent brand, right? So platform companies kind of shaped e-commerce going forward and have given customers a lot of variety and choices that they couldn't get in the past. So those are basically what I feel. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ben-Jie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail right on the head, because we say new normal. I think in reality, it's no longer new normal, it's the normal. Before, in fact, the other day, my condo lift open, inside got 3 people. I got scared, no. I decided, no, it's okay. I'll take the next lift. I think the fact that we get into a lift and then the lift gate beeps, oh wait, I think we will never see the light of it, at least in the near future. So I think it's about getting back to the old normal. I think the old normal would definitely be no longer be the same for sure. I think with that, let's lead me to the next question, Siew, because Ben-Jie did mention about omni-channel, because I think the world, the online and the offline is blurring, it depends how you look at it, to be honest. So I think let's talk about omni-channel for a bit. I do think that's definitely a popular e-commerce trend coming forward. So speaking of this, e-commerce merchants do, sells on different e-marketplaces like Ben-Jie just say his L friend and the S friend. So my question is, in your opinion, being omni-channel, across different platforms, across different, offline, online as well, is it a must when it comes to e-commerce? And if yes, how can e-commerce merchant utilize omni-channel strategy? And if not, why do you think so?
Yep. So I think thanks for the question. So let's talk a bit about omni-channel here, right? I think it's always a buzzword that's used, but to just really simplify the whole omni-channel thing is really a multi-channel approach, right? For you to reach out to your users or your customers, right? It can be an online website. It can be a brick and mortar store, or it can be even a telemarketing phone call, right? I think that's omni-channel, at least in the definition that I know of, right? And in times of crisis, I think those who pivot, right, to go online to open up new channels to sell things are generally those who will survive this crisis and come out stronger. And if today if you are still running a brick and mortar store and you don't have an online presence, I urge you to immediately go and either set up your own Facebook page or your own website, or the fastest way is to tap on the online marketplace, right, to reach out to your users, right? Because lockdown, with brick and mortar stores, most of them are, or non-essential services are closed. So to answer your question on the L and okay, just use the name Lazada and Shopee, right? I'm not shy using their names, right? So I think if you know Carousell, we are a classifieds marketplace, or some of us call us a C2C marketplace, and it's basically a place whereby we allow anyone to buy and sell almost anything, right, except for illegal items, right? So you and I can be a seller almost immediately if you come to Carousell. And in Carousell, we don't go head to head, to compete with guys like Shopee and Lazada, because that's also not the game we are going for. We are basically we are complementary to them. In fact, we are friends with both of them. That's why I'm okay to use their name, right? And in times like this, when you see if more and more people go and buy from Shopee and Lazada, there's also a tendency for more people to sell. Because if, say, like Kevin, you say you live in a condo, right? How much can you buy and store in your condo? Definitely, one day you will have to sell. Because someone would nag you to declutter. It could be your wife, could be your husband, could be your parents, right? Say, hey, your house is a mess, go and sell it, right? So where to sell, right? That's the question, right? Of course, that's where C2C comes into play, right? And this is how we organically grow our traffic, because that's where we attract people to come, right? So now, with that put in place, right? I think I want to share is that more and more businesses are now coming onto Carousell because of the high traffic that we are getting, right? And if to certain people, maybe you can say, hey, Carousell, secondhand website, right? You like perceive we are selling secondhand, but I think a lot have changed ever since last year MCO, right? Because shops are closed, I think a lot of businesses actually went over to Carousell. Now you can see 40% of items on Carousell is like new items, and we see businesses being very creative coming to Carousell. Maybe give you a few examples, especially the retailers who are listening here, right? So we saw some retailers, because their staff are being underutilized, right? So they actually get their staff to snap photos in their shops, or take some of their items, snap photos, and then sell on Carousell in the unprofessional way, not the the one with all the interesting white color background, So basically they sell, and then what they say is like, oh, it could be one Hagarunto or a Jualan Tutup Kedai, or it could be things like staff price sale. So basically they're just moving stocks whereby they really have an urgency to move those stocks, right? So I see a lot of staff sale item on Carousell, quote unquote, because when you put staff sale, then in Carousell you always chat, right? So then people will nego, and then somehow they get to close the business, right? They get to close the deal there, right? And we also see things like how retailers do is, they put up the ad, the Carousell ad, and then say, you show this ad, then you will get a special gift when you come to my store to deal, right? Or you get a special discount if you show this ad. So there's also like, then they're using Carousell like an online flyer, so to speak, right? To go from online, right? They saw the ad in Carousell, and then they go over to their store in, could be a shopping mall, could be somewhere on the on the high street and stuff. There are also things whereby we see retailers clearing things like imperfect items. So maybe the item has been returned, is scratched already. Then they mention very clearly in Carousell, the item has scratches, but I'm selling it off at 30% cheaper than the price, the market price. So then people also come to the shop to look at it and deal. Also maybe another example is things like they're clearing about to expire items, or last 3 units or last X units items. So those are the things that attract people. But we also know a lot of the feedback from the retailers or businesses who join us. They say they're very thankful for Carousell because they are able to upsell. So because when they chat with the user, somehow the user or the customer will say, oh, I also need something like this. Do you have something? Then they can sort of upsell and recommend things, right? So it's in a way like people walk into your online store for you to have a conversation. So this is where Carousell is very different from the B2C guys, where we generally just apply a discount code and buy now, right? But in Carousell, you say the people could be saying that, oh, if I buy 3, got discount or things like that. So I think this gives a room for creativity for all these retailers to do things on Carousell, which is different from the B2C. Yeah, so that's what I have.
Okay, thanks, Yuan. You know, one of the challenge of being a moderator, I get very excited with the topic. You know, myself want to contribute to it. You know, so but it's really it's amazing to be able to sit down and listen. You know, but I think if I can just add one point to that, being omni-channel, I think moving forward, I think there's no such thing as that you can only exist 100% online or 100% offline. I think you need to find that ratio that works for you, because consumer demands it, as in, you know, it should be a seamless brand experience towards something. You know, whether I buy online, I will return offline, I go and buy offline, I want to return online, you know, things like that. So I think you really give some really good insights to all the, you know, SMEs out there. So I think that leads us to the third question I have here. So Vivienne, you know, other than the 2 things that we mentioned earlier, you know, what are the trends that you think it's a must to leverage for e-commerce, and why is it? And how can, you know, an e-commerce merchant leverage for business growth?
I think the 2 experts have made me want to start buying on AirAsia and going to Carousell to start selling my secondhand handbags. A very exciting topic. I think maybe just to give people a little bit more, I mean, because I handle SMEs, right? I've got to tone it down so that the normal people in the world understand and how they can benefit from this panel session, because everybody here is really, really atas. Even I'm lost, right? But to make it simple, I think we just need to know that with e-commerce growing into such an extent, like you mentioned, 149% search, right? We all need to know that it just means there's more challenges, right? Imagine if I'm selling a face mask, right? Even my friends are trying to sell face masks now. So I don't even know which face mask is good. So normally what I do as a woman consumer is I just click top sales, right? Top sales. I'm like, oh, this one, 10,000 sales a month. Wow, confirm good one. So I support lah. So what does that, how does that affect the other new people coming in? So that's barriers of entry, right? So anybody who's trying to get into e-commerce first need to understand what are the barriers of entry, right? So you need to know how to differentiate yourselves. So I think obviously, you know, both of these experts, they know how to do it. But for the layman, I think as a very, very easy start, when you talk about omni-channel as well, it can get a bit complex because there's so many channels. Take Exabytes, for example. When you want to purchase their website, they come with a list of channels that you can choose from. Not sure whether anybody here has tried. If you should, Exabytes good. So you go into Exabytes, you click, you can choose between like the Shopee, you can choose to put it on Facebook, you can choose to put it on Instagram, and then you as a new SME, you know, you scratch your head and you go, where? Which one good for my product? So I think it's very, very crucial to take a step back, understand what kind of products you're selling. I'll give you an example. If you're selling a coffee bottle, versus if you're selling a luxury product, you need to consider what channel you want to go into. You don't just go into every channel because omni-channel is good. Even though research has proven by Harvard that people who employ or deploy omni-channel strategies do see about 40% higher customer retention, right? Because, you know, I go online, I see that product. I go to Shopee, I see that product. I'm so used to your product versus only seeing it on one platform. But you do need to identify what products are being sold before you choose your right omni-channel strategies. That's A. B, we need to know what Malaysian consumers like. We are lazy, right? I am a gamer girl. I play Mobile Legends. Yeah. So I was also sponsored by Astro and Tamago previously to play Mobile Legends, right? So what happens is I'm always on my bed. And after a while, when I get tired after like 10 games, what I do is I then go to Shopee and Lazada, right? So the trend here is that 56% of purchases are made via mobile phones, not your other ways of purchasing, which is websites. Interesting. So we know that if we have certain amount of budget set, maybe to these merchants who are here, the retailers in the call, you need to know, maybe you should focus your budget to adopt a more mobile friendly sort of app, right? So that it's easier for your consumers to buy, depending on what product you're selling. Also, I think it you know, with Malaysia now, we are hardcore, right? I also stay in a condo. So I stay in a condo with 40 floors, and each floor has eight units, right? So there's like massive amount of people, just to Kelvin's point, flooding the lifts. Teet, one lift, teet, one lift. By the sixth lift, I'm like, okay, where am I ever going to reach down? When I finally get downstairs, I see boxes and parcels and parcels. Sometimes the delivery man arrives and I'm so excited, right? I'm like, wow, what did I buy from Sephora today, right? I take my box, it's not my item, and I need to return it. So that's another thing that we need to think of, right? If you guys want to get into e-commerce, you really need to work on one thing: customer support. You could have the best product. You could have the best product in the world, right? I would buy your product. But if your customer service is weak, if you don't employ multiple channels for your customers to call you and say, hey, delivery is slow. Hey, what kind of product am I buying? Hey, can I get a refund? Hey, I bought the wrong item. Hey, you know, consumers are annoying as hell, right? Because I'm an annoying consumer. So you need to employ and make sure that your support services are top notch for you to remain in competition. So if you go to Shopee, you see 100% response rate. That is something I look at. So try to stand in the shoes of your consumer when you become a merchant. So I think, yeah, that's just a little bit of sharing, because I do talk to my SMEs very frequently, especially when we work in the bank. Today, the moratorium is really affecting businesses, and a lot of them have no choice but to migrate to e-commerce, especially the brick and mortar businesses.
All right, thanks, Vivienne. So I think all we covered so far, I think Ben-Jie kind of shared with us, I think it's important, you know, the way that the consumer is changing is just embracing e-commerce. It's definitely going to be a huge trend moving forward. And then we also covered the fact that, you know, going into omni-channel is really important. That's covered by Siew earlier. And I think, Vivienne, you went on saying that, you know, it's important that we identify the right channel. And more importantly, in terms of support, you know, in terms of customer service and all that, I think those really kind of hits the nerve on all the e-commerce merchants out there. And we ourselves as consumers, we feel this pain ourselves. It's so relatable, you know, and I think in order to be successful is we can solve all these problems for the consumers. So good. See, as promised, there's only 3 questions I've planned, and now we go into Q&A. All right, so we have one question here. Wow, Ben-Jie, you need to be very serious with this question, right? Because this question, they will call you Mr. Lim. So this question comes from Tana. So the question to panelists, Mr. Lim, how does AirAsia using e-commerce effectively during this pandemic? Wow, this one, I think a lot of things you can answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can take a day. All your list won't be enough for me to share. I'll try my best to summarize what our strategy is, and you know, how everyone here can take away a few things. Maybe I'll go back a bit in history. We started up 19 years ago, and we were actually an e-commerce company 19 years ago. We were the first airline in probably Southeast Asia and Asia that actually offered tickets online. Right? Previously, Malaysia Airlines, any other airline, you would have go to a travel agent, fill up a real form, and tear out those manual tickets. So e-commerce isn't foreign to us. I will put it that way. It's just that we have transformed after 19 years of our existence. Even before I was born, maybe not, just joking. I'm not that young. So after about 18, 16 years, we transformed. What has happened is that we saw ourselves, in the travel industry being able to offer more in the lifestyle space, right? So what Carousell is doing, what CIMB is also trying to do, we created a super app, right? A super app is something that's really powerful. It's still a term that is not widely used in our part of the world yet. People are starting to understand bit by bit what a super app is, right? To a consumer, a super app is an app that has everything. But that is what it really is, an app that has everything, right? There's only a few players in town that kind of call themselves a super app, and this is gaining a lot of traction. So about, I guess 1 year ago, that's when we started putting in a proper strategy on how do we want to grow this super app to give consumers more than just travel, right? What has happened was the digital process, the transformation process has been a painful one for AirAsia, right? From an airline, we're trying to transform into a lifestyle company offering more than just flights. That transformation, of course, took a lot of effort. Step by step, we had to teach people how to be an e-commerce company that does lifestyle, right? We have never ever sold stuff via food delivery. We have never done groceries even today. We've done a bit of beauty products, but we've never really done those things. And if you have heard, we're going to ride hailing soon, right? Really, really soon, we're going to ride hailing as well. So what we have used is actually a very strong brand that we have. AirAsia is a brand synonymous with value. Everyone knows AirAsia is always giving good value, always being good in terms of try our best to be good, best with standards, service, and also provide you the best connectivity, the best convenience. We fly 10 times a day to Singapore, we fly 12 times a day to KK. It gives you that support, or gives you that convenience always. Right? So we're just extending the brand, using the power of the brand, using the power of our wonderful customers who have supported us over the last 18 years, giving them an additional option of going into the e-commerce space that covers food delivery, groceries delivery, beauty products, ride hailing, and many more. Right? So we use this opportunity, this crisis, I would say. I think if there's one industry that's hardest hit in the history of, throughout this whole pandemic, it will probably be the aviation industry. I cannot deny that. Definitely in the hospitality industry, the hotels, and that's where we exactly sit, unfortunately. And unfortunately, also, we do not have like the endless amounts of government-funded subsidies and support that some other carriers would have. Right? So this pivot was truly, truly necessary, right, to transform from travel business to more of a lifestyle. And this pivot is not something that we will end. It will be something that will be carried on forever. We see non-airline revenues, in other words, e-commerce that is offering lifestyle, to contribute at least 50% of revenue in the next 5 years. That's a very crazy target, 50%. And the airline revenue is close to 8, 9, 10 billion. And we're expecting the non-airline revenue to be as high as that, right? So e-commerce today is definitely at the forefront. My team was created only in March. That's how recent my team is formed, put together as a proper grouping of e-commerce businesses to reach out to the B2C market. And now we're going out to the market with a lot of strong value proposition. Number one, that you get to access our 50 million members in our database to sell your products. Number one. Number two, we got our own internal ecosystem that can support your businesses. So anyone who comes on board to AirAsia Food, AirAsia Fresh, AirAsia Beauty, you can be rest assured you have marketing support, you have delivery support, you have customer support, you have payment support. All is covered as we are providing a service as a platform, right? And also, of course, we are going to town to challenge incumbents to grow the market, of course, by saying that, even in commissions for food, AirAsia Food delivery services, we charge the restaurants only 15%. Super low. Our competitors in green and purple would charge you 35%, 40%. That kills a lot of business, right? A lot of merchants couldn't survive during the first and second lockdown, let alone the third lockdown. So we are coming in with the proposition that we want to support and grow the market. We be efficient, right? Don't let anyone push us down. We ourselves be efficient in order to support our merchants. Ultimately, then the customers benefit. Similar like the airline. We came in, we changed the model, make it efficient, 25-minute turnaround flights, very quick, very efficient, on time and everything. And then volume increased, prices went down, everyone get to fly. So now we're going to employ the same strategy. We're going to bring it into lifestyle businesses and support the SME community in Malaysia, support the this other set of businesses that who truly need assistance, right? That they truly deserve. Yeah, I know there's birds chirping in the background. It's quite a nice day today, so I hope everyone enjoys the background music too. That's basically a summary of what AirAsia is doing. And going forward, I think we will definitely work with anyone and everyone. And we would like to be a super app, a proper super app. Everyone can get an option, an opportunity. Everyone will get value from us, and that's the aim, right? And we will definitely be in Southeast Asia, not just in Malaysia. I think the aim here is that when travel returns, you fly to Bangkok, you fly to Jakarta, you fly to Manila. I know it sounds so foreign to travel now, right? It's like something you haven't done for such an amazing long time. You will get the same sort of service and sort of standards and value when you travel abroad. You will get food delivery in Thailand. You will get food delivery in Jakarta. Anywhere, you get the same experience you'll be getting anywhere in Southeast Asia. Yep.
All right, thanks, Benji. I think personally, there's one thing I've learned from your lesson, from your explanation earlier. I'm a coffee drinker, so every day I at least take 3 cups, and I tell myself, no, I need to cut down. And then I'm like, no, how to change? Cannot change. I need my coffee to survive. So the fact that AirAsia can change, I think I can change also. I think I need to cut down my coffee. I think that's really a good success story for all to learn and to pivot from what you're strong at and taking your strength and kind of build on that into other areas that's relevant. So I think moving on to the next question. Okay, we get the inflow of questions coming in now. So next question coming in from Corey Tan. So I think this question will go to Siew. So hello all. Can understand difference of selling through Carousell and Shopee. Understand both are having C2C based seller.
All right. So I'll take this question. Thanks, Corey. So I explained a bit of the generic difference first, right? Between Carousell, which is mostly C2C, right? Consumer to consumer, in case you all need to know the term. And then Shopee now has moved a lot more to B2C, which means business to consumer, right? There's a lot more merchants, businesses selling on Shopee, and you can see a lot of also the China merchants there. So the first key difference is the items that can be sold on Carousell versus Shopee, right? So for Carousell, like I mentioned, we can sell almost anything, right? Ranging from things like fashion stuff, like clothes, accessories, watches, to electronic gadgets, mobile phone, tablets, whatever, and even to high-ticket items like cars, or you want to rent a room, right? You want to sell a property, or you even want to advertise the services that you have. Maybe you know how to fix an aircon, right? You can use it. You can use Carousell as your part-time earning, right? So that's a difference, right? So if you say Shopee, in a way, is or B2C sites is quite in terms of things you can sell, it's limited to things that you can deliver in a way, right? If based on experience, I don't think you go to Shopee to look for certain services or things like that. So there are differences, and you can see Carousell definitely has a lot more rare items or secondhand items. So people come to Carousell to look at those, right? Antiques and the rest of the stuff. You will find more common items or commodities in Shopee. I think that is the first distinction, right? Items that are being sold in two platforms. So that's why Carousell is appealing to different people. Like, I think maybe people like Martin is probably looking for a very unique guitar, right? That has been aged 20 years. You probably don't find it in Shopee. You probably find it in places like Carousell, right? Then the mode of payment, right? It's also different. In Carousell, of course, we allow people to accept the online payment from us, whether it's credit card and the rest of the stuff, but it's entirely up to the seller. Meaning to say, if you're strictly say, I want to do COD, you come to my shop, or you meet me at the petrol station, you meet me at LRT station, it's entirely up to the seller, right? That's the flexibility that Carousell gives to the seller. Whereas in the B2C sites, generally, I would say, is dictated by how the marketplace wants to has set the rules, right, for you to accept the kind of payment, and they would dictate how many days you get your payment and stuff like that, right? So I would not want to exactly say how Shopee does it, right? But generally there's a rule, whereas Carousell is a bit more flexible in terms of the payment. There's pros and cons, right? And there are also things like return and refunds, right? So generally when you do it in a B2C site like Shopee, you adhere to the return and refund policy in some ways, right? Whereas if you sell your secondhand watch on Carousell, right, then you will be saying that there are scratches, there are all these kind of things, right? So then you if you take it, that's how it is. So it's as is pricing, right? So there are differences, right? I hope you can get to see a lot more the kind of similarity. And maybe last one is ease of usage, right? So if you see things like on Shopee, Lazada, there's the kind of seller center whereby there's a bit of learning curve for you to know how to upload your SKU and do all sorts of stuff. But in Carousell, right, it's quite a no-brainer. If you know how to take a photo today, and you know how to chat, right, messaging, you can basically, you take a photo to sell something, put a bit of description, and when people chat with you, you just set up a meetup location or whatever to sell. So it's as easy as that. So it's there are distinction. That's why Carousell do fit in a unique position in the marketplace. Yeah. So I hope that answers your questions, Corey.
All right, thanks, Siew. Okay, and I will attest to that. Personally, myself, okay, nobody nagged me to clean my house, rather myself, because I got OCD, so I couldn't leave things disorganized. So over the years, I've sold so many things on Carousell that otherwise would have destined for the garbage bin, and it's amazing because, for example, I just sold the other day a Backstreet Boys. Yes, I listened to Backstreet Boys before. Yes, I admit. All right, so I had a Backstreet Boys CD, and I don't even have a CD player in my house anymore. Everything is Apple Music, Spotify, and everything else. So I then decided to sell. I was so happy to sell to the buyer because he's a collector. So it's somebody who inheriting now something that the person will treasure it more. So I thought that was really good. All right, so thanks, Siew, for that. Okay, so next question I have from Martin. So I think I will give this to Vivienne because Vivienne did mention, you do talk to a lot of your SMEs, previously hearing from them. So there's this question coming from Martin, says, how to stand out from the crowd where the market is saturated as everyone's selling the same thing, like you said, everybody is selling the same face mask. So do you have any interesting success stories that you heard from your SMEs during the MCO period that you could share?
So I think this is a perfect question because it's related to what Chen Hao has been asking. So, to also provide good customer service is great, but what's the growing strategy for your business, for any business in my perspective, right? So like I mentioned, it really, really depends on your product. But so happened I'm also taking my master's, and I was quite fortunate to go through a lot of research papers, which accompanied whatever information or feedback I got from the SMEs that I talk to very often, right? So what really sets the difference is that social endorsement, influencer marketing, is something that you cannot not do, right? Depending on what sort of product. Again, so I'm just giving you one example. Obviously, it may not be related to every single product, but I'm going to share how I, as a BTS fan, actually also went to McDonald's and contributed to the rising number of cases during the pandemic by being the 1 million women in the queue to purchase a McNugget set. So that is an example of how social endorsement or celebrity endorsement can really help to boost your business. Another example is like when you see Ronaldo, he put away his Coca-Cola, and that made Coca-Cola lose billions of dollars in revenue in just a week. So what you need to know is that depending on your marketing budget, if you don't have a marketing budget, what I recommend is go to your Facebook, go to Instagram. I think earlier I was sitting in some panel sessions. You could also talk to these people. You could send your products to those influencers and tell them this is completely free of charge. Or you can come and visit my business, try the food in my restaurant. If you want to, you can make a simple article cover, do a blog post, invite these people to your restaurants, show people how the influencers feel about the food, the atmosphere, and that could really boost your sales. Because people are like that, monkey see, monkey do, right? This influencer went, I pun nak pergi, best gila. This influencer take picture, oh best gila, I pun nak angkat gambar, pink background. So you really need to know what is it that makes people tick. And interestingly enough, it is as simple as influencer marketing. Again, if cost is an issue, try to reach out to your friends who have slightly more followers on Facebook, slightly more followers on Instagram. Get them to promote your business for you. Remember, your friends are your free and best strategy when you're starting your business. Obviously, it also depends on what stage you are in your business. And then later, obviously, to sustain your business, you may potentially want to look for loans. A lot of people don't understand when it comes to business loans, people like Christy Ng also endorses loans. Why? At a very minimal rate, especially now during the pandemic, right? Banks have no choice but to offer loan rates as low as 3.5%. And these are all, by BNM, and it's basically 3.5% divided by 12. Essentially, you're paying less than 0.something% per month. Let's assume you get 10,000 ringgit from the bank every month and you earn 20,000, you're only paying back a 0.5% interest to the bank. With that capital, you can use it to do marketing, capital sourcing, maintenance of your businesses, purchase more products, so on and so forth. So you need to know how to leverage your business at different life stages. And it's also very key to, like I mentioned, the face mask thing. How do you intend to differentiate yourself? Now, a lot of people talk about e-commerce growing in Malaysia. It's true. But do you know that 50% of our e-commerce purchases are going out of Malaysia? People like China, Japan, and Singapore are our top competitors. Why? People like Taobao, I can't read Mandarin, so unfortunately I haven't been there, thank God. People like Taobao and the likes of your Singaporean counterparts are trying to snatch our market share. So you need to see what they're doing. And if you notice, right, their websites are very beautifully curated, filled with testimonials, ease of navigation, and also good support. So that will set the bar, right, between a Malaysian website or a Malaysian e-commerce versus a Singaporean seller. They give really good service, right? They give really good explanations of their products. What are the top 3 reasons why you need to purchase from me, not some dude in Malaysia? So that's why we are going to the likes of Sephora. Interesting, right? Sephora is an overseas brand, but they're in our top 10 of e-commerce platforms. And I could name a few more, but I feel sad because I do shop in Sephora as well. So everybody here needs to really remember, differentiate yourself. Marketing is key. Digital ads, social media influencing, Facebook, Instagram. You need to really mix until you find the right strategy.
All right, thanks, Vivienne. Okay, we're heading into perhaps, I think, the last 10, 15 minutes or so of our panel. So if I can just get the panelists to maybe get shorter answers, because we have still a lot of questions. So I'll try to cover as much as we can. Okay, so next, I think here, again, for Mr. Lim from Chen Hao. What's the strategy to keep customers to the brand website and app during pandemic? It's penetrating food delivery a way to retain customers to the brand?
Yeah, Mr. Lim will answer this. Can call me Ben-Jie when you want, no issue. So I think that was a follow-up question from what I explained about the super app. I think it's quite relevant. A lot of people are asking, why is AirAsia doing everything? Right? Why is AirAsia suddenly doing financial services? Why are we suddenly doing health tourism? I mean, there's so many things that we're trying to dabble into, right? The answer is, I think we believe that, you know, our customers they know us as a brand, right? And as a brand, that powerful brand itself, going back to the brand again, it gives people trust in us. They know that we are delivering authentic product. I mean, for Vivienne's knowledge, we started AirAsia Beauty as a contender to Sephora and Althea and Hermo, just to inform you, so that you can also support us. We want to build a local champion, right? We had enough of, you know, sometimes foreigners coming in and taking everything away. You know, our main ride-hailing company went to Singapore, you know, things like this happened. You know, our top 2 platforms are actually from China, mostly, you know, investments are from China, Japan. There's nothing really homegrown locally. And that's where we're coming in to try and, you know, tell people of Southeast Asia that we can be champions in our own territory, right? So the food is, in fact, yes, one of our ways to increase the transaction and volume on the AirAsia platform. It's to bring in the traffic that we definitely lost because of travel being slow, right? I think travel is close to 0. I think we barely got almost 10 or 20 planes flying, whereas in the past we had 200-300 planes flying at one time, right? So from 19 million passengers, we're only down to less than 1 to 2 million a year, all right? So we definitely lost a lot of traffic, but we know this traffic will come back. So what we're doing now is we're keeping people warm. We are building an e-commerce presence that in the lifestyle space across all Southeast Asian countries in anticipation for a return on travel, right? This is the period where the entire resources of AirAsia has been pivoted, repurposed to go and support e-commerce businesses, growing the e-commerce business. The infrastructure, the logistics, the payment, everything has been diverted to focus where it matters most now, which is to grow our presence across the region in the coming months. And yes, in future, I think there will definitely be more and more affiliation and understanding, and definitely there will be a lot of partnerships that will be formed. So even with anyone on this call, especially CIMB and Carousell, knock on my doors anytime if you want to do a partnership. I think we have to grow together. The only way out of this crisis is definitely to work together. right? We will definitely have to work with our airports authority. We definitely have to work with everyone, anywhere and everywhere to get out of this crisis. It will be a huge task, even for the government to inject so much cash and still to be where we are today. It shows that there's so much that needs to be done in future to get us out of this issue. And yes, someone pointed out about the color red. I think that red is synonymous. Yeah, all of us are actually red. It's a very powerful color. We actually rebranded. If you look at the logo next to me, it actually is not the old AirAsia logo that you used to know when we used to fly. It's a totally different logo. The whole rebranding exercise was done to just give people a reminder that we are doing more than just travel now already. We are changing completely, and that is really critical. Yeah, what else? What was the question in addition to that? I think that's about it, right?
Yep. Thanks, Ben-Jie. So okay. Yeah, my logo also got a red dot.
Need a bit more red. Come, let's change it. Fully red.
And I think you also answered one question in a way from Ben Wintle here. He was asked, Mr. Lim, you implement BNPL into your business, would you use IOUpay as your BNPL provider? I think the fact that you say that CIMB and Carousell can knock on your doors, I think I can do that too. Because I think buy now, pay later is definitely also an e-commerce trend, in the space for payment at least. I think you did cover that also during your opening answer. So I think definitely that's a space to look for. So, okay, let me just go down to, I think there's this question that's been voted. Yeah, it's coming from Joshua to Mr. Tang now, okay? Mr. Tang, I want to ask you, how does Carousell grow revenue since you don't charge a commission for each sales unlike Shopee and Lazada? So how you make money basically?
So I do pro bono, I do things for No, just kidding. So I think for every business, right, there is a way to make money, right? And if you know about the classifieds model, it's always an advertising model, right? So we just think of us like, if you look at Facebook, you don't pay, if as you're a normal user, right, consumer, you don't pay them unless you are someone who's running a business, right? So in Carousell, there are a few ways for us to make money instead of just relying on things like, taking a commission from the things that you sold. Because we understand that if you are selling your own second-hand item at a loss probably already, why would we want to take a take rate from you? So there's a reason why we call ourselves Carousell instead of Carobuy, right? I think this to give you an understanding. So to us, it's really about media dollars. So we have brand partners like Apple and the rest of the guys, right? So they're advertising on Carousell or even KFC, So you can see those ads that appear in the platform. Those form of advertising that advertisers that work with us, directly to target certain audience, right? That's one part. Or if you're a merchant, right, you want to boost your listings up, you can buy things like Carousell coins, which is equivalent to the credits. So some people, they said, because my listing gets pushed down, I want people to see more of my listings. Just like how you do Google search, right? You want the things to be on top. So you buy the coins, but we don't force our users to actually pay us. So I think a lot of things is just voluntary, because if Carousell created value for you, you want more of the value, you tend to pay the platform. I think that's how the cycle works these days. That's why you see a lot of things like freemium and all this kind of stuff from other players as well.
Right. Yeah. So maybe I can just follow up with that with a subsequent question coming from Joshua, because it says comparing B2C apps where there are vouchers to keep users coming back, how do Carousell increase user stickiness as a C2C app?
Cool. So thanks, Joshua, for the second question. I think for us, like I said, we don't want to be in that Shopee Lazada space. You need a very big pipe, right, to do that. Giving free vouchers, free this, free that, right? I don't think we are in that game because we don't charge a take rate. So basically for us, we look at things like a Carousell flywheel. What makes the flywheel turn? So I think for all the business owners here, right, knowing how to grow your business with a flywheel is something that creates the stickiness. So to go a bit on that, right? To Carousell, a lot of it is in terms of supply. How do I get more people like Calvin, right, to declutter his stuff in his condo, right? Or a lot more people like the Mary condos, right, to sell. So that when you have more supply in Carousell, that's what keeps people coming back, because people come to Carousell, like I think I mentioned a bit, right? You come in either for cheap stuff, right, secondhand stuff, right? Or you come in for rare stuff, right? Things that you cannot find, the antique or whatever stuff, right? So there are differences between the things you look for on Carousell and in Shopee. And you also use us to compare second-hand price, right, in Carousell, so that before you make a decision, whether you buy on a shop or online, you actually see that, okay, maybe I can make the trade-off. So that's how we keep people coming back. And the messaging that you do in your flywheel, how you strengthen it, right, to grow a business, you got to identify it yourself, what makes your user come back. So I just share a bit of that. I mean, Calvin asked me to cut my answers short, right? So this is the surface answer I can give, but I'm happy to share more with you if Calvin give me more time. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Yoy. Okay, I think I have one question here that's being voted twice. Not sure who wants to pick this question. It's coming from Hieng Chua Hian Kiet. So, hi, respected panelists. I'm Kiet. We have had many issues with poor delivery and logistics. So third-party delivery partners are not doing much to change their reputation. So what can we do to improve customers' confidence with this issue? Any of you three would like to take this up?
I think I'll just give a bit of background because I already touched a bit on customer service, right? Yeah. So I think Kiet, really there's no perfect answer when it comes to delivery and logistics. The government needs to cater for the explosion of e-commerce in order to embrace the amount of orders coming in. What you guys can do from a merchant or SME perspective is really how you address your customers' concern. Always keep them updated. You need to really view what sort of e-commerce or marketplace you're on. Example, if it's Lazada or Shopee, which one gives better explanations of where your delivery parcel is? Some of them, they have a bit more extensive information versus if you were to go, no offense, on Carousell, right? Because if they choose to do it via COD, if the fella disappears and doesn't appear, then the buyer is going to reach that place and there's not going to be a seller, or vice versa, right? So you need to find marketplaces that has specific detailed explanations of where your delivery is. That's A. B, like I mentioned, our previous sessions also mentioned, you can consider having chatbots on your websites or chatbots in anywhere that you have. Always have your WhatsApp business on so that when customers have any questions regarding to your delivery or logistics issues, you have a ticket number that you have issued that to them, maybe an order number, ticket number, purchase number, which you can refer to give them an update. And always be upfront in how soon you plan to get back to them. If you say within 2 working days, make sure you meet that expectation. 2 working days to respond or 2 working days to read their question or their query. You need to be very specific. I'm going to get back to you in 2 working days. 2 working days meaning if it's a holiday? No, right? So you need to be very clear and customers will sort of believe and trust you a little bit better.
Right. Thanks, Vivienne. Okay, so I have one question coming from Rachel Wong. Please provide your contact if possible. I think you can find all of us on LinkedIn. So by just searching our names, then you can connect to us on LinkedIn. I think that will be a lot easier. So I'm just going to mark this as done. And if I may, all the panelists and also the organizer, I did see some question coming in from the chat, and also earlier there was a question in regards to IOUpay, so at least give me some airtime lah, huh? Right at the closing, So yeah, I'm from IOUpay. We recently launched our buy now pay later service, which is called My IOU. So we just launched it last Tuesday, and I think we have more than 300 merchants currently enabled with our payment option. So what it does, it does what it says. It lets you buy now and pay later. So you can then split your payment into 2, 3, and 6 months. And right after this call, I'm going to go knock Ben-Jie's door. Okay, so I think with that, let me take one last question coming in from Rachel. She says, with very limited manpower and resources, and I think a lot of SMEs can relate to this question. With very limited manpower and resources, please share as to how SME could set their strategy plan for their e-commerce business, as in a basic blueprint. So who would like to take this question? Volunteers?
Yeah, I can take the question.
Okay, here you go, Ben-Jie.
Anyone can chime in, Vivienne, or Siew, anytime you want to chime in, go ahead. One part to it is what Vivienne has rightly pointed out, customer service. Choose a platform or a business or an opportunity or something that gives you and your customers a good touch point, a good experience. That's very crucial. So I think just want to chime in a bit. Teleport is our logistics arm. that we converted from cargo into doing last mile as well, first and last mile, right? So we will see a lot of AirAsia cabin crew now becoming delivery riders because of the pandemic. So that's our service differentiation is what we are trying to push, to say that your customers will interact with a very professional cabin crew who will deliver your char siu pao or your char kway teow in future. So it's as simple as that. Okay. Second strategy is, choose, you also, as a merchant, as SME, you also have to invest into your brand. Remember to always invest in your brand. It's also on your own onus to build your brand. If there's anything you want to invest now, it's going to be marketing. Now is the best time because everyone is cutting on marketing. Everyone. The big brands, you go on the streets, you go outdoor, you see rarely any brands have marketing enough to build their brand. So IOUpay today, honestly, first time I'm here. I'm very excited already as well. So it's a very, very fantastic sort of marketing that he's doing today. Invest in your marketing, that's really, really crucial. And lastly, I think look for a partner or, your own platform has to be stable. Invest also into the tech. I think you cannot be cheap on investing into tech. So AirAsia invested billions and hundreds of millions into data, into ensuring that we clean out our data to ensure we give the best personalization, the best upscaling, the best products, the right products to you as a consumer. So invest a bit in tech that is necessary. I think Siew would not be where he is today without investing in sufficient tech today. So these are the three areas I think are very, very crucial for SMEs. Anyone want to add on?
Can I add on a bit? Yeah, if I have time. So I think Rachel, what I would say is that if you want to start, right, try to start small. So no, I think brand and all those things, to me, generally it comes later, right? So I'll share the Carousell story if I have time. But generally there's a saying in Carousell, right? You better, it's much better to get 100 people who loves you very much, rather than get thousands and thousands of people who sort of like you. So what you want to do is to quickly start, like identifying who are the people who will be using your product or services, right? And then you create your own flywheel. Like I mentioned the flywheel, right? What are the things that keep people coming back? You need to have that. It's not just discount as a carrot, but what are the things that you can offer value to bring back? So your business has to create that kind of differentiation. Whether you create a brand over time or things like that, but you need these 100 people or these 100 people to grow, so that it starts forming some sort of branding for yourself, right? And then you will know where to go from there. I've seen a lot of businesses, even the small guys on Carousell, that's where they do, that's how they grow, right? So if you hear the Carousell story before, we started, in the uni, right? We started with a hackathon and all this kind of stuff, but in the uni, people use Carousell to sell textbooks. That's the first thing. And then from textbooks, there's a lot of people using it to do all these things. Then you see gadgets coming in for the guys. Then you see fashion clothes coming in for the girls. So that's where it snowball. But you need to get all these groups of customers, right, or users to support your growth along the way. I think that to me is crucial, more so than finding technology and all this kind of stuff, because there's so many free platforms out there. There's Carousell, there's Facebook, there's the rest of the stuff. You can use it, right, to try it out. But more importantly, it's actually yourself and your users. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Siew. Thank you, Ben-Jie, and thank you, Vivienne. I think we did an excellent job. Say shocks and beauty, praise ourselves. Because I think we stick to the plan. 3 questions, and we really had lots of questions. We kind of answer all of them. So once again, thank you so much. I learned a lot from all you guys. And yes, I'm gonna go knocking on your door soon. So I think I'll hand over our host from Exabyte. Oh yes, Lauren.
Hello, thank you so much. And I believe that I can attest that you guys did an amazing job. It was just so good. And I love the fact that it was engaging, it was inspiring, and the fact that it was just so down to earth and easy for everyone here to understand. Like, you don't have to have any prior knowledge. You can just jump in at any point. You can understand what you guys were saying. And Calvin, I just like to commend you. You did an exceptional job as our moderator. I was sitting here, I was like, this guy is giving me a run for my money. So engaging, so fun to listen to. And this whole panel was just so wholesome as well. I like to thank you on behalf of Exabytes, you guys. Let's say thank you in the chat. I will see you all once again. Stay safe now.
Exabytes.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Grow your business online.
All right, you guys.